Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Minutes with M&M. I am Nana, this is Miss N, and we're very excited to have you with us this week. First of all, happy Valentine's week. We are really excited to talk about love today. So we are going to be focusing on some of our favorite TV couples of all time, some of whom are arguably the best. Like, come on, who's competing with these people? So we both have 10 and we're going to go through them together. Let us know in the comments what you think or who your favorite couples are, and if you think any of the couples that we selected are not couples that you're rooting for. Okay, let's get right into it.
Yeah, so in no particular order, one of my favorite couples of all time is Meredith and Derek from Grey's Anatomy.
I love it. That's perfection.
They're just perfect to me. Not in the way that everything was perfect in their relationship, but in the way where like they're just perfect for each other.
Yeah.
They were soulmates. Shonda, you pay for your crimes. If you haven't watched Grey's Anatomy, I'm pretty sure you know this.
Everyone knows this.
Derek dies, and I felt like I lost my husband, and my soul was crushed. I'm a widow right now. I don't want Meredith to be with anyone else, and just watching them grow like season after season was so rewarding.
They were fantastic, and their chemistry was on point. Like, have you guys ever seen Patrick and Ellen interact? Like, they did an interview literally like a couple months ago in a Disney event, and I was like, wow, look at you guys, soulmates who love each other. They're perfect. Meredith and Derek are everything. I think that's a fantastic option. For myself, the first couple I'm gonna say is, who am I gonna say? So I'm gonna say Monica and Chandler from Friends. I know it's a very basic couple, but I love them so much, and they work so well because they're not a couple that you saw coming from the beginning. Like, the writers didn't plan it, but they have some of the most romantic moments of the show. Their engagement is everything. Chandler trying to get them to get a baby when they were trying to adopt, that speech, everything. They just love each other. I love them so much. That's really all I have to say. I love them. I think they're perfect. They're the only couple on Friends that I'm like rooting for the entire time they're together. So yes, Monica and Chandler for the win.
So second couple for me would be Beth and Randall from This Is Us. Black love shone well on my TV. Everything about them was just amazing, and it was so wholesome watching them raise their kids and just do right by them and do right by each other. Everything was just so perfect. I loved their dynamic. I just love them, and that's just it. I love the entire story, and they were basically my favorite people on that entire show.
Facts, because those people needed help. Also, I just want to point out that to me, they're the only couple who felt like they were real and they got a happy ending. Because all the other major couples on the show broke up. And spoiler alert for This Is Us, but Kevin getting with the nurse after years on and off is not giving me the feelings I need to feel. So really, at the end of the day, all we have is Beth and Randall. That's true love, guys. Do we want their relationship? Maybe not, but still amazing. Randall was a lot though.
Yeah, he was a lot. So kudos to you, Beth, for dealing with all of that.
Beth was a queen, and I stand. Next up for me, I would say probably Perry Cox and Jordan, his wife/ex-wife/wife. So this is from Scrubs. They're my favorite couple of the show, and they're hilarious. They're kind of an odd couple in the sense that they're both incredibly mean, and they treat each other. They say mean things to each other. I'm not going to say they treat each other badly, although they do sometimes, but they also truly love each other, and they work through some of the craziest things. And the fact that they end up together with their kids and everything, despite the fact that they get divorced earlier on, and they just love each other. Even though they're mean to other people, they put each other first. And it's so, if you haven't seen Scrubs, the way I'm describing this sounds ridiculous, but if you watch it, you're like, this is the woman of Perry's heart. And Perry Cox, or Dr. Cox, is arguably one of the best characters on the show. So seeing who his soulmate is definitely works for me. So yeah, that's what I'm going to say next.
Well, the next couple for me is a very weird one. So bear with me, guys. but it's Diane and Guy from BoJack Horseman. It's very weird because it's an animated show, but one thing about me, I love couples that are boring. Like, boredom means, you guys are cruising, it's smooth sailing, and you guys are on the same wavelength. And seeing Diane go through all of that with Mr. Peanut Butter and just all of her struggles, getting to a place where she finally met someone that, understood her and supported her truly, through everything she was going through, was so rewarding for me to watch. And I think this is more on Diane's side. Like, I don't really have any strong feelings towards Guy. It could have been anyone, but it was him. So it just made me so happy watching that happen, that like she finally got like somewhat of a happy ending. So happy about that.
You know what? I feel it. Diane actually deserved a happy ending, and if it's with a random guy who we never saw before this season, why not? Also, it was cute, and you're right. Like, after dealing with Mr. Peanut Butter, who's just so excessive, being with like a nice, calm, regular dude is such a reward, and I love that.
Yeah.
That being said, my next couple is the most chaotic couple of all time. It's Ian and Mickey from Shameless, and I would die for Galovich. Like, that kept me watching far after I needed to leave Shameless. I was just watching for Ian and Mickey. I was like, I think anyone who was a fan of the show kind of thought that it was over when Mickey left the show. Spoilers, obviously. Like, we put a spoiler disclaimer at the beginning, but just in case. Mickey comes back. Mickey goes to prison for Ian, and I just... This sounds dramatic, but like, first of all, just even them being a gay couple, if you watch the show and you see who Ian is at the beginning of the show and at the end of, Ian is not even, I should focus on Mickey. Who Mickey starts off as and who he ends at, seeing that love grow and seeing the love he has for Ian, when Ian is having his bipolar disorder breakdowns, and when, he goes to jail, or when Mickey wants to run away to Mexico, or even when they get married. It's just, I'm so emotional, and you don't get it, but they're everything to me. I love Galovich so much. Ian and Mickey till the end, guys. Ooh, I love them. They're everything.
All right. Weird, but okay. I'll let you have all your feelings. It's a very emotional episode for us. We have a lot of feelings. Love is in the air.
Love is in the air.
So next up for me is Barney and Robin from How I Met Your Mother. I will never forgive the writers for that silly ending.
And you shouldn't.
They were perfect for each other.
Absolutely.
Barney was problematic. Robin was problematic in her own way, but somehow they made it work when they were together, and they made the show so much more entertaining. I was tired of like Ted whining every 5 minutes. Like, it was refreshing. They understood each other on like a level that she never got to with Ted, and he truly really cared about her. I mean, Barney cares about everyone. He cares about his friends. He doesn't admit it like outright, but like he actually goes above and beyond for all his friends. So imagine how much farther he would go for someone he actually loves. They were just perfect for each other, and like they broke up. Their entire breakup it didn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. I love them so much.
I just want to point out that so many things happened in the last episode of How I Met Your Mother, including, the mother dying. But the thing people complain the most about is Barney and Robin splitting up. So you just have to ask the writers, was it worth it to have your plot twist, to surprise us all, to have us gag that Robin gets back with Ted? Was it worth it to destroy the couple that everyone was rooting for? Congrats. Good job. Well done.
As you can see, we're still very, very salty.
Very salty.
And we are currently watching How I Met Your Father.
We are.
And we're just hoping that the writers kind of
learn from their past mistakes.
Yeah.
Because if I watch another 8 seasons for a surprise, tricked ya, I'm going to fight someone. So Hilary Duff, warn them. Next on my list is Corey and Topanga from Boy Meets World and Girl Meets World. And I think they're perfect because they're probably the only couple ever where I'm like, you guys have been dating since you were literally children and I'm rooting for you. And we have the benefit as an audience to see them, again, meet in elementary school, all the way to them being like adults with teenage children of themselves. And I feel like we don't get like a lot of that because most shows don't last as long as Boy Meets World did. And then most shows don't get spin-offs where you get to see all of these things happening. So love them. I think they're super cute. Obviously, Corey and Topanga, Corey and Sean, but that's not the point. They were very adorable and they genuinely loved each other and they had some of the sweetest moments. And I just love that we got to see them grow into being in love. Obviously, they had some difficult points. Being with someone that you've been with since you were a child is not an easy thing to navigate, but seeing them, you know, in high school and college, I think I'm gonna go rewatch Boy Meets World. Corey and Topanga were adorable. So yay, they're next on my list.
So next up for me is David and Patrick from Schitt's Creek. I cried when watching their wedding. It was just so wholesome. The entire relationship was just very heartwarming and wholesome. David freaking out is just like, that's my vibe, like on a daily basis. I'm always like at 100 when everyone else is like, relax, like calm down, like why are you like this? So I feel like they really matched each other's personalities. Like David was just the like overly dramatic one, and Patrick was just like, relax, calm down, I'm here, I love you, this is weird, like I'm gonna be here for you. And it was just really, really cute. I like that it didn't have these weird unnecessary arguments or fights or like some homophobia. Like, you know, it was just light. It was light and wholesome and I loved it.
I agree. Also, I just loved Patrick. Like, I know David's the main character and we love David, but Patrick was such a strong addition to the Schitt's Creek story. And he was a normal person that matched, like, he just got into the weirdness really well. He was like, okay, you guys are kind of crazy, but I dig it.
Oh my God.
I love that for him. Next up, I am throwing it back to One Tree Hill, Nathan and Haley for life, forever and always. That's all I have to say. I usually don't root for the high schoolers who get married and, you know, have their lives derailed the way that they chose to derail them. But there was something real about that love. Haley made Nathan a better man, and Nathan, you know, just no, I'm playing. I think he also made Haley a better person. And he loved Haley so much. There are so many storylines where he's really just like, I'm here for my wife, I'm here for my person, and I love it. Nathan grows so much over the course of the show. Like, who he is in episode 1 and who he is in the final episode are basically two different people, and honestly, he owes all of that to Haley making him a better person and to his brother, but I'm focusing on love today. So shout out to them and the cuteness that they put on my screen every episode.
Next up for me is a weird one. I know mine are just gonna be weird, but this is Samantha and Jerry from Sex and the City. Yes, have your reaction, let it out, but like, think about it. I feel like for me, Samantha was my favorite character of Sex and the City, and it was very, very rewarding to watch her, like all her notions about relationships and love grow and evolve when she actually started to care about somebody, and she was like, okay, maybe I can actually see something long term with someone. Maybe I can be with someone because I like them, not because, you know, it's another one of my sexual like rendezvous, you know, like, so it was just so wholesome. And there was a scene where like she's feeling some type of way about the relationship because she's like, I can't relate to, you know, all his crowd, and then she goes to hook up with this other older guy that she was with, and then Jerry just sits there and he waits for her, and then she comes back and she's like, I don't know what's wrong with me, and he's like, don't worry, I'm gonna take you home. I'm like, he understands. And then she also helped him, she built up his career, like, you know, they were just always there for each other. And like, I hadn't seen that side of Samantha in a long time. I mean, she had her friends, but like, I hadn't seen that caring, nurturing side of her like in a romantic setting, and it just made me feel like, oh my gosh, she's actually really sweet, and she still has, you know, second insecurities, but you know, it was just a growth moment for me, and I loved it.
Love it. Shout out to Samantha for being the best friend out of all those girls, and the best person, arguably. And the only person who talked about sex in a reasonable way on a show called Sex and the City. Mm-hmm. Anyway, next up, I have Fran Drescher and Mr. Sheffield from The Nanny. Again, this is one of those, I usually don't root for people to sleep with their bosses, but in this case, from day one, I was like, how are you gonna get into this man's bed, ma'am? Because you need to make it happen. It was a very, like, it's a comedy, it's a sitcom. It's not necessarily super, super serious, but they touch on a couple of things, you know, especially in the beginning of the show with the kids feeling the loss of their mom. But I was here for stepmom Fran. Like, she really proves that she's a part of the family and she's integral to all of the happiness with the kids and with Mr. Sheffield before they finally let them get together. And, you know, they get married and she has a baby. Like, it's so wholesome, but funny, like genuinely hilarious. And they had great chemistry. And they got a happy ending at the end, and they didn't get destroyed by death or divorce or a random breakup by the writers. So yeah, absolutely love it. Fran and Mr. Sheffield.
Next up for me is another very problematic couple. But they are my absolute faves. Blair and Chuck from Gossip Girl. It just, you know, moment of silence for greatness that was that couple, because they were both ruthless and they both just understood each other on like a level where like they both knew the level of insanity that was existing in both of them. And you know, it just worked. It worked so much. They were so toxic, but you just wanted to keep seeing them on your screen. And whenever they had their moments, I'm just like, Blair, forgive him. It was a mistake. And I was like, Blair, if only you waited one more minute. He showed up. He was late. But like, honestly, it was just amazing. And the fact that at the end they had their wedding, it was just perfect. I know it was problematic, but like Chuck's dad was like a monster and like Blair was supportive throughout the whole thing, and it was just refreshing. I mean, Serena and Dan was boring and annoying. Like, what was the other couples? I can't even remember, but like everybody else was just like ew. But when it came to Chuck and Blair, I was like, ooh, chemistry. Like, you know, I want to see more of it. So yes, I stand my problematic couple.
I love how you said problematic, because it just glosses over the insanity that was that relationship. But I'm gonna let it rock because Ian and Mickey physically beat each other up. So I get it. Hashtag Chair, who birthed a generation of girls wanting the most toxic on-screen relationships. Good for y'all. Fantastic job there. Next up for me is Amy Pond and Rory Williams from Doctor Who with the 11th Doctor for a couple of seasons. I need to specify that. You guys don't care. If you know who they are, you know who they are. And if you don't, you are missing out on one of the greatest love stories of all time, because my king, my man, the last centurion, Rory Williams, loved his wife so much that he waited 2,000 years. He fought armies. He said, "This is my queen and I will die for her any day," without a second thought. And he fully meant it. And I ate every crumb of that relationship up. Not to minimize Amy, she loved him too. She went back to the past for him, and you know, she had all these cute speeches, but I'm not gonna lie, Rory was carrying that relationship, and I don't mind. They were probably my favorite romance on the show. Well, I like the Doctor and River too, but let's focus on the people I'm talking about. Amy and Rory make me believe in love. Amy and Rory are one of the few times I'm about to drag Stephen Moffat, and I don't care, where his convoluted writing and jumping through timelines and changing space and time actually works in a way that makes you happy to see love come through and conquer everything in the end. So Amy and Rory, also their child is like the best character on the entire show, so how can I not give them props for that? So shout out to the girl who waited and the last centurion. I love y'all.
Moving on.
Why do you think I'm a nerd?
Okay, next up for me is Issa and Lawrence from Insecure.
I have a question. Why are you Team Daniel if Issa and Lawrence are your up there couple?
Because I never got to see Issa and Daniel as a couple. Like, that's it. But yeah, it's just, again, Black love. They both just vibed. Their chemistry was off the rocks. They understood each other. They've been together since college. Issa made a small mistake. A very small one.
I agree.
And Lawrence overreacted. But he came back to his senses and came back and he took her back. And they were together. Like it was so nice to watch like them come back and like having grown individually, separate from each other. Because sometimes when you're with someone who you met in college, you can get stuck in that mindset, and it can actually get a little bit toxic where you guys aren't really pushing each other to be the best you can be, and everyone gets comfortable. So I feel like the break was very good for them, and they both realized that what they wanted. They had their chance to hoe out, they had their chance to do whatever, and they still was like, they were like, nah, these streets are rugged. Like, I want to come back to you, and it was just perfect. Issa was like, I want you. Lawrence is like, I want you, and like.
You're right. Watching them get back together in season 4 is such a highlight for me. I mean, it's immediately destroyed by the fact that, look,
I didn't mention it because I didn't want to think about it.
Look, I just don't understand why writers be doing this. Issa Rae, what was the reason? Canola oil didn't have to have that baby. It just didn't have to happen. It's fine. Issa and Lawrence end up together with the baby. Can you imagine? But no, I love them. They're really funny, and their banter was on point. I think when you watch the first season of the show where they're breaking up and they're having all these communication issues, and he hasn't had a job in forever, it's really easy to be like, why are you all together? But when things are good and they're bantering and you're like, oh, you guys have chemistry. You guys are,
especially when he turns around to talk to canola oil and it's like dry as a piece of bread.
But shout out to Issa, because she had some competition for Lawrence in there. I mean, Daniel was there for a minute, and we had Nathan for some reason, but Lawrence came through in the end. He said, this is the woman that I'm here for, and let's ignore all the other things, haha. So yeah, positive relationship. So next up I have Captain Raymond Holt and his husband Kevin from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I love them. I especially love them because usually when you have like a deadpan character who's kind of like quote unquote robotic, they usually pair them with someone who's like super exuberant. So they're like, oh, look at the contrast. But Kevin and Captain Holt are perfect. They're both little robots with their weird jokes and their abstract references that everybody thinks is weird. And they're, fighting over math equations and, finding the same insults funny or not funny based on their sense of humor. I love them. Also, I cried a little bit in the final season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just everything that happened with their relationship and how it ended up. But I love them so much. Plus, them fighting gave us one of the best scenes of the entire show, which is Captain Holt freaking out and going, "Bone?" I'm gonna put the GIF in here so you can see it.
How dare you, Detective Diaz? I am your superior officer! Bone! What happens in my bedroom, Detective, is none of your business. Bone! Don't ever speak to me like that again.
But yeah, love it. They're just cute. They're really wholesome. I feel like I've used that word before, but I think that's what works for me. When I see couples where I'm like, you love each other and you're happy. That's all I want. That's all I want from the couples.
We just want to know that love exists in this world.
Because apparently we don't see it in real life.
Oh my God. Next up for me are Schmidt and Cece from New Girl. I don't have to say too much. I just loved their entire dynamic. I particularly loved Smith as a character, and like Cece was a nice compliment to his character, and like watching him fawn all over her and watching her like fall in love with him and being so confused. She's like, he is so nerdy and lame. Why do I like him? Why do I want to still have sex with you? Like, what's going on? And like they were just so cute. Like it was over the top, but it was done in such a perfect way, and I it was just such a nice breath of fresh air from like Jess and Nick's
whatever
was going on there. And I loved everything about it. Like it was funny, it had its moment. You could actually tell what they both saw in each other and like why they liked each other, because I hate when TV shows or movies try to do this thing where it's like, oh, this unusual character is with this other unusual person and they haven't said why. Like, why? But yeah, I really love them. Shout out to you.
I agree. Schmidt is honestly the funniest character in the entire show. He could have been the main character, but you know, we had Jess instead. Okay. But him and Cece had so many like cute moments. Sometimes I feel like the writers were like, what is the cutest thing we can do? Let's give it to Schmidt and Cece, including him proposing to her with the dollar that he, you know, put away in the first season because he said, I'm going to marry you. And they were all like, jar. They're cute. Their wedding episode is cute. Them having a baby is cute. They're adorbs. I love them. Yeah. Next up for me is Uncle Phil and dark-skinned Aunt Viv. Like, let's be very clear here. Both Aunt Vivs did a great job, but there's something that Janet did in that role, and the chemistry her and James Avery had was amazing. And it was nice to see like an older couple, like, you know, they're in their 40s, and well, I mean, technically, you know, Aunt Viv turns 40 on the show, but whatever. They're older, they've been together for a while, and they just are happy and in love and choose each other. And like, you know, they have sexy times and they have their little inside jokes. They're just adorbs. They're adorable. Like, shout out to the quintessential 90s couple in the parenting vibe. That's them. So Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, I love y'all. So cute.
Next up for me is Cam and Mitch from Modern Family. They just gave me all the laughs. It was extremely funny. Cam is so dramatic, and I love that about him. You know, like, I feel like his reactions were like so on point, and whenever they were in front of like the cameras, it was just so funny. Like, Modern Family as a show was just funny. Like, everyone was funny, but I feel like Phil and his family, they were kind of annoying. Kind of like, just the marriage was kind of not doing it for me. It was
Claire deserved better, basically.
Yeah, and then when it got to Gloria and the dad, Jay, I was also like, okay. Like, but when it got to Cam and Mitchell, I was like, oh my god, so cute. You guys are trying your best. You guys are trying to parent. You guys are so funny. And yeah, there was just something that was enjoyable about watching them, to be honest. I don't have much to say, but if you are a fan of them too, comment down below. I would love to hear from you, but yeah, I was a big fan of them.
I forgot to mention when she said Barney and Robin, that was also one of mine. So that I'm gonna keep them as my 10th, Robin and Barney, for all the reasons you said, and for how much just joy they brought me as a couple, especially because they were funny. I think a lot of the couples that I enjoy have good comedic balance. Like, obviously I want something stable, but I also want to feel something when I'm watching you and it's not entirely boring. So a lot of them just have great banter, or they just do funny things. So Barney and Robin were great, and shout out to my favorite interaction of theirs, them trying to break up a couple because they annoyed them and celebrating when they succeeded, because I can relate to that level of pettiness. Congrats guys, that's true love. But yeah, those are both of our top 10 favorite couples from TV. We'll put a list on the screen so you can take a look in case you forgot already. But yeah, what do you think? It's Valentine's Day. If you are watching TV like we probably are, who are you hoping to see finally get with the person they're meant to be with? What's your favorite ship? What are the couples that make you happy when you think about them? Conversely, what couples do you hate? We want to hear it in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching our video.
Yeah, and have a happy Valentine's Day. Catch you on the next one.
Okay, have a great day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.